Hello YouTube, this is Skip coming to you live straight out of Real Hot 6 Aquatic Kennels. Man, what a beautiful day it is. It's July 13th, 2014, and I am about to wrap up this video series titled The Evolutionary History of the Midas Cichlid Complex. So let's get started. Move it to my table. Okay, as you can see, it's a little windy out here, so I'm about to move these materials to another location so I can film this without any interruptions. Okay, now that I don't have to deal with the elements, I can wrap this up and keep it moving. Here we have a species history list. And on this list comprised of Amphilophus species and the person who discovered and collected them and the collected and discovered date. Let's go down this list. We're going to start with the hero Citrinellum Gunther, which is the scientific name for Midas. And the Midas was discovered in 1864. Right beneath it is the hero Labianums Gunther, which is in the Amphilophus family as well, genus, but it's not the same species, it's a separate species. And it was discovered in 1864 as well. But our main focus is the subspecies of the Midas. Here we have a Xiliosis, which was discovered 1976. Check it out. I also have this information in a few books as well. And you guys, you can go online and look this information up as well. The Amphilophus armadillo was discovered by J. Schaefer and McKay in 2002. That's fairly recent. 2002 is only 2014. And you mean to tell me that's when the armadillo was discovered and collected? We have a whole list here of newly discovered subspecies. And like I said, people, they all have derived from the Midas cichlid. If you believe in Darwin and you believe in evolution and the evolutionary process, then this information is very valuable to you. The Heliensis, J. Schaefer, was discovered in 2002. The Saggy, the Sagittae, was discovered in 2002 as well. That's a fish we're going to focus attention on. The Saggy and the Xiliosis, we're going to focus our attention on those two fish for reasons that are not so obvious, but obvious. We also have the Flavorus that was discovered in, wow, 2008. 2008, that is definitely fairly recent. Also, the Chancho, 2008. Wow. What does that say? So now that we know when these fish or these species have been collected and discovered, we can move on to some photos of some of these species so we can properly identify and assign species names to the correct species of cichlid. in the Midas, within the Midas Cichlid complex. Here we have a photo of a chancho with babies. This photo was taken underwater in the wild. Now, I hope the camera's picking up the color. I don't know, but hopefully it is. But if you want to properly identify your chancho, I think I mentioned it before in part 1, but we're going to go over it again. You have to look at the bill. You have to look at how far the eyes are from the mouth and the eyes from the top of the head to the dorsal fin back to the gill plate. That plays a significant role. Not everyone has an eye for that. So let's go with the obvious first. The obvious is the yellow in the gill plate area and under the mouth and chin area. And a little bit of yellow hint here and there around the mouth area as well. And in the belly area. Plus, chancho's natural backdrop in color is green. Period. There are no exceptions to the rule. Chanchos are always green, even in their stress coloration, when they're trying to communicate to you or any fish or any predator or anything around them that they're stressed out. Their base color is still green. So if you have a fish in your aquarium and you're calling it a chancho, or it was shipped to you as a chancho, and it's not green, and it doesn't have that yellow in the gill plate area and in the lower area, or it just doesn't have yellow and green in it, period, then we know that is not a chancho. Okay, moving on. This is a picture illustrating 2 wild armadillos from Lake Apoyeque as well. Armadillos and chanchos occupy the same lake, and they are endemic to this lake. Endemic means that they're isolated. They only come from that particular lake, and they're found nowhere else. For you guys who may not know what that means, you can look it up. Now, the armadillo base color varies. It has a greenish tint to it as well, but it's mainly a yellow tint. A yellowish tint with deep dark black to gray bars. And I'm going to show you guys other photos of these species, because I know it's kind of difficult to tell, especially if the species is very young or it's a small size, it's not a full-grown adult fish, or if the fish is in a community tank and it's being stressed out and the color is being washed out, you can't really tell. But this is just the basic information, so you guys have the basics. We also have azaleosis. They usually are a dark, almost black color with deep dark bars in their body. And their body structure is sort of like, almost like a Labianum's red devil. And I have a theory about that too as well. I'm going to bring that up to you later. So they're not quite built like the chancho and the armadillo with the deep body and thick muscular and round face. And their eyes are low centered. So it's fairly close to the mouth. The head doesn't dip any further. It's like a complete slope, a slant. Okay. Okay, here's a photo of 2 Heiko Bleher. I believe this is an Archimedes photo. These Heiko Bleher are in their breeding dress. And you can see every color in the rainbow, just about. The yellow, the blues, the orange, the red. Beautiful illustration. And above here is a Heiko Bleher in his non-breeding dress. Still a beautiful fish. Look at that lean, muscular build. They're not like the Midas, like the chanchos and the armadillos. They're not real thick. They're lean, muscular build with a deep burgundy, reddish color in the gill plates. Beautiful fish. Here's a high-grade chancho. Beautiful illustration. Thick, muscular, chunky body. Look how close the eyes are to the mouth. the distance between the gill plates and the eyes and the mouth, as opposed to this species, the Heiko Bleher. Also, here's another photo of an armadillo. Like I mentioned to you before, the armadillo has a yellow backdrop with thick bands, a little orange in the cheek area. These two look fairly young, but they still have the breed standard colors. And here we have two Sagies in their natural habitat with fry. Check out the Earl-shaped head with the deep bands. Remind you of what fish? The Xyliosis Earl cichlid. And I have a theory about these two particular species, the Earl and the Sagy. I believe they're one and the same species. I just believe that one was taken out of its natural environment and moved to another environment, and being as though it moved from one environment to another, it morphed or it evolved into what we see today. Beautiful illustration. Okay, let's take a look at this Amphilophus chart. Here we have a large armadillo. Flavorous. These two species are always confused with one another because they look so similar. But there are little telltale signs and differences between the two visually. You can't fool Mother Nature. Mother Nature will always give you a hint or a clue as to what you have before you. Here's a Heiko Bleher, which looks sort of suspect to me. I'm not sure if this is truly a Heiko Bleher. The person who made this chart did a very good job. It is, for the most part, on point and pretty much accurate, with the exception of a couple of fish that I think, in my opinion, mislabeled. The Labianum's red devil, you can see the mouth area. Sagies. Xyliosis, which look kind of funny, but this may not be the best picture of one. Citrinellum bod. That's not a citrinellum. That looks more like a my devil. This is one of the PDF books that I printed off. This book has all the DNA charts of every last single fish that I just showed you. Matter of fact, when I open up this book, you can see most of the information in this book. As I flip through it. So let's go back to the aquarium building and check out Big Casanova. He's still hovering over that flower pot. Yeah, I think the babies are just about to hatch. Speaking of babies hatching, check out Miss Pikachu and her fry swimming. I took most of them out and placed them in the incubating hatchery down there. Miss Veyron had babies as well. I'll show you the video of it, but I don't see them right now, so I wonder what happened to those. Slugger. Now, I want you guys to pay close attention to this fish mouth. Look at it. Remember that Midas picture I showed you guys, that drawing? Look at the mouth. The illustration, that's a pure Midas. Look at Big Casanova. Shoot, if I wasn't thinking straight, I would think that guy had took a sketch of big Casanova and drew him. Let's see if I can get him to turn around. Look at his mouth. Exactly like the illustration. Wow. Check out this Heiko Bleher. You probably can't, the camera's really not picking up on it, but he has the purple hue in his body. Very aggressive. He has his thick bars, but he has that build like a feste. That body structure is built similar to a feste. And he's slender. He don't have that thick Midas cut build. See, look at this Midas right here. Thick. Look at that one. Thick with the little head on it. Look at the chancho. Little chunky. Little chanchos in here. Look at these Midas. Thick bars. Clearly hot. Oh, and fry. All in the tank as well. That's why they acting super aggressive. Because this Midas right here usually have a huge knuckle hump, but once the fry starts free swimming, his hump goes down for some reason. I guess the testosterone level goes down as well. So that's why the hump goes down. That may explain that. And that's why all these fish over here stressed out. I'm about to take him out. This big guy over here is Marco fish if he wanted. He gets a big hump on his head as well. He's huge. Like 7 inches. Check out some more of these guys. Here's a chancho that I received from Marco. Look at that. Yellow all in the gill plate, all in the belly, all in the lip, and he's green. Solid green. Here's King Bobo's son. I haven't named him yet, but I'm getting around to it. Also, another look at some of my orange Midas and bald Midas off of Miss Lucy. Slugger, Casanova, Miss Pearl. This pretty female white Midas right here is off of Miss Pearl. Now people, here's what's interesting about this white Midas. I'm gonna focus on this white Midas right here. This Midas morphed twice, meaning that she looked like this at one point, then she looked like this orange Midas. She turned orange, but a different color orange. She wasn't that tangerine orange. Matter of fact, she was the same color orange as her dad. You can see hints of it in her fins, in her propeller fin, and in her back annual fins, and a little bit up in the dorsal fin. And then she turned completely white. A double morph. And that's not rare. That happens quite often. I love this guy right here. This is my favorite male right here. I named him Pumpkinhead, because he get a big old pumpkin head knot when he get excited or when he wants to hook up with this female. And he likes a female bar in here too. Now most of the bars with the huge humps on their head, of course I sold. People just came and they just went berserk. But let's take a look at another Amphilophus species. Let's take a look at the Feste, because I did mention him quite a few times. It's my man Hitman. Hitman is beautiful. But look at his build. Look at that build. Think about how he built, the way the eyes are slant down. In between the arrow and the Heiko Bleher. You got that shape, that body shape, that is female. And speaking of arrow, here's a Xaliosis right here. Male. He's getting picked on a little bit. Once I put him in tank to himself though, he really starts showing off his true color patterns and his but this is a Xaliosis with a hump on his head, which is rare, but it's not unachievable. Let me see if it's a glare here. That's my female Feste in the back. So this is an arrow cichlid. You got the arrow shape. If you put an arrowhead next to his head, even with the hump, you can see the arrow shape and the long snout. You got short snout Midas and you have long snout Midas. But even with the long snout, it doesn't come to a complete point like a Labianus or a My Devil. So I'm gonna wrap this video up. You know the saying. Just skip,